Doing well myself, dude. I actually got compelled to come on here. I don't really know. Spirit is saying insight. Insight to what's happening today. And then they're showing me a pair of cherries. You know what I'm saying? Something sweet, you know? Here, let's see what they're talking about. Because I hear the word independent or independency, right? I feel like some people are looking at what, like, trying to come up with a plan to figure out their way out of a hole or their perceived fucking atmosphere or environment is what I'm also hearing here. I feel like people are working it out. They're trying to figure things out. But also at the same time, I think they're getting tripped up by emotions, things that are happening about themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of us are planning for our future and what the hell we're going to do with it. It's just about that time where spring cleaning is here. It's the season of cleansing, rebirth, restructuring, realignment. So all these things are happening simultaneously. And I don't know how it looks like in everybody else's lives, but but being an observer will show you that these things are actually happening. It doesn't matter whose life it is. Everything is changing right now. There's foundational change. There's changing of stability or what we believe stability to be. There's changing of gnosis that, you know what I'm saying, where a lot of people are having realizations right now or, mystical experiences, you know what I'm saying? Then the spirit is not using the word hallucination. So, you know what I'm saying? If you think that you are having hallucinations, please seek a physician is what I'm hearing here. You know what I'm saying? And, make sure that you get yourself checked out to make sure that there isn't anything wrong with you. Like when it comes to the physical body, when it comes to your internal structure, body awareness, if you might be getting sick or not feeling good or, kind of like turning the other cheek to your health. This is something that's also coming up in the moment for you guys to realize that, it might be something that you need to pay attention to. They're mentioning the term Saturn. When Saturn comes around or you have a lot of Saturn energy in the wear, you'll notice that the body gets heavy or you become more aware of what the body is telling you because there is wear and tear on the body. And sometimes these things can be cured. Other times they can be learned how to negotiate these things to put yourself in a place where more healing is allowed, to live yourself a more comfortable space. They're showing me hips, joints, elbows, possibly even arthritis, a lot of stomach aches going around, acid indigestion, heartburn are all very, very profound indications of what's happening here. The Saturn reflection is what I'm also hearing in the space, So, hey, man, it's pay attention to your health time. You know what I'm saying? Not only just, a lot of people focus on everything except their health, right? And a lot of people don't focus on their mental health whatsoever because they think that they're somehow stable in their environment. You know what I'm saying? But the chaos and distortion inside of you should tell you that you are in an unstable environment or your perspective of the environment is unstable, right? You know what I'm saying? Everything is energy, fam. I'm trying to keep it simple here without getting too complicated because we have a tendency of flying off the handle when we start asking, but what about this? But what about that? Oh, but what about this and that? It's not about the how right now. It's about what you're feeling inside and how you have the ability to discern what it is you're feeling to take care of yourself or not, right? Self-love. And the physicality of that very understanding is really important, right? Because we all have to, we need nutrients. We need to, you know what I'm saying, nourish the soil that we have, which is this body. The body is the soil, you know what I'm saying? And be mindful of what it is that you're connected to because that could literally rot the soil. Again, and it's pretty cool because I believe there's a lot of heart-based realizations where we have the benefit of becoming more open and less stressed or less vigilant or less rigid. You know what I'm saying? So this is a very, like, it kind of reminds me of a widespread perspective of what's happening collectively right now is that a lot of people are kind of releasing those heart-based issues, coming to terms with heart-based issues, finishing up whatever lesson that they've come through. The fourth quarter moon is representing all that. You are recalibrating at this time, right? It almost doesn't even make sense to fight against it unless that's something that you wholeheartedly believe, but you also have to be mindful of what you wholeheartedly believe because it might not be the truth, and the inauthenticity is the truth that you will see when the uncomfort comes in those type of situations where you realize that you've been way too hard on yourself or you've been taken advantage of, but you didn't give yourself credit for the things that you could actually do while you were being taken advantage of and seeing your quality and your worth in past spaces where you've given too much or you've given enough, but you never got it back. But you also have to realize that were you expecting to receive something in return? Were you expecting for that to just automatically happen. These are the internal workings of deception and delusion, is what Spirit is saying right now. And I believe that's what our heart-based issues are telling us right now, and the emotional value of what we base as an issue inside of ourselves. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, we have to see how we may have a noose around us, not realizing that we're limited to where we can go because we don't know that that knot has been tied around our heads. You know what I'm saying? And I believe that this is what the Queen of Pentacles represents here, is that seeing that value, that worth, that love, that flow, that earthly, physical, emotional presence that you have inside of you that allows you to be more heart-centered and free, regardless of what situation that you might be dealing with, especially listening to this message, because acceptance is kind of like 9/10 of the rule here, is what's hearing here, allowing yourself to be alleviated, allowing yourself to allow these energies to be removed from your being in this time and space that we have here now, because it's time for divine reflection, is what I'm also getting here. You know what I'm saying? And also here, it's not about how you dress, it's not about how you look, it's more so about how you feel and what perspective you have towards that feeling that can either keep you stuck in that feeling, wandering for more feelings, or pulling yourself back and kind of recognizing that there's an emotional value that you need to harness right now with all the chaos and confusion that's happening outside of ourselves, harnessing that energy, harnessing that love and that emotion, and actually doing something fruitful with it, positive with it, possibly even pushing past the problem, your own limitations, your boundaries, your complacency where you just don't feel like you want to do shit. And I completely understand that, because there's a rainy day in everybody's experiences. You know what I'm saying? There's a rainy day in every day. We have the opportunity to look past those rainy days and understand that rainy days give us growth. They make us change. They help us see things from a different perspective. They help us become more patient and penitent. You know what I'm saying? They actually allow us to become more humble and open to the moment. Not that we have to do that. You know what I'm saying? It's the time for being scared by the things outside of yourself is coming undone right now, you know? And I guess, you know, that is pretty much the yin and yang of that one, you know, because there's a lot of finite instructions, which means that it's kind of like I said what I said energy, and I meant what I said, and I have the courage to back that up by taking the next step and doing something unconditional. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm not placing any limitations on what the future looks like or how it evolves. And I'm not allowing the expectations or the wanting to know things to distort my rite of passage, my path, my place where I'm now. You know what I'm saying? So this, I feel like it's also about dignity, honor, and respect, that a lot of us don't necessarily know how to engage in that space, know how to embody that, know how to wear it, know how to be courageous in this new energy that we're having right now. You know what I'm saying? But in order for us to truly harness passion, we have to learn how to master our emotions and master the energy of emotion and how profoundly it moves in our favor when we wholeheartedly intend these things, because basically all the experiences that we've had up until this part is what Spirit is saying is us using our own energy against ourselves in one way or another, because we limit the way that we look at things, right? When we're supposed to have an open perspective on a lot of things, being a human, period. You know what I'm saying? Because everywhere you turn, something can upset you. Everywhere you turn, something can excite you. Everywhere you turn, something can entertain you. So you have all this abundance of stimulation. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to do research? Are you going to do love and positivity? Is it something that's incrementally making you feel better and actually making you a better person? Are you working towards short-term or long-term goals? What are your short-term and long-term goals is what this energy is asking. For a lot of people, like, where do you see yourself at? And have you been divinely led to know that? Is what I'm also hearing here. What does your soul want? What is it that you want? What does your heart want? You know? So if you're looking for ideas, or you're looking for, like, finding a way to engage in a more passionate perspective about what's happening here, you have the ability to do so by becoming a little bit more penitent and patient by what's happening here, because they're showing me like a glue becoming undone and everything coming apart, but also unfolding, you know, in a way that none of us can necessarily tell the future, but it's almost a promise of having to be excited about what it is that you're doing right now, what it is that you feel called to, or where it is that you feel pulled to. You know, what it is that you focus more on, whether it's more of your kids, whether it's more of your family, whether it's more work in a sense, whether it's another part of work, or maybe it's a part-time job or something that you do on the side, that you can start getting crafty, that you can express yourself, that you can find a line that allows you to engage in a more passionate way of life, and for short periods of time. You know what I'm saying? We all have to find time for these things in our lives, dude, because believe it or not, balancing the mind, body, and spirit, and learning how to balance the mind, body, and the spirit, and the awareness of the soul that you are, is it can be very expensive and very taxing, right? If you let yourself go. And some of us just realize that by the present experiences that we're realizing from past spaces that we've had. Even today, these things are coming up. Earlier, I saw the moon card. The moon card to me was showing the clarity that a lot of people are realizing by coming out of hermit mode, coming out of the water, not necessarily hiding, starting to look around, observing, feeling things for the first time in a long time, in the way that you're supposed to feel them, without necessarily having a judgment or an expression or an expectation on what it is that you're feeling, and allowing yourself to be carried to the next moment, instead of losing your shit and flying off the handle and going somewhere else where you've been before. You know what I'm saying? This is all about that new. And they show me, as you continue to evolve and continue to take these steps into your passion, into your purpose, into your path, and whatever that looks like, I see doors closing behind a lot of people right now. You know what I'm saying? So, but the way that they're showing it to me, and the way that they're telling me, is that there's no going back. There's no deep diving into those emotions that no longer serve you. There's none of that here, is what's being said. And I think that's, that allows people to understand what it is to allow yourself not to be a slave to your emotions. You know what I'm saying? And learn how to master them and alchemize them and transmute them or transcend them in a way where it does something good for you. It gives you insight about yourself. It brings clarity to yourself. You get proud of yourself, because some of these things that we're dealing with right now are a little hard to fucking literally dig through. You know what I'm saying? But it's not about the digging. It's about the observing of the digging that you've already done that has kept you here, is what Spirit is saying. So, there's also self-reflection in past spaces where you realize that some people are stuck because they can't get past the emotion of the past, and they can't necessarily find a way to forgive themselves to a point where they allow themselves to release this thing. You know what I'm saying? Because we emotionally try to grasp things, and we emotionally hold on to things, and we have trauma that becomes 10 fold. And, by holding on to these things for so long, we think that we've come to terms with them, and we were able to live a stable life somehow, not realizing that a lot of these things are being dug up now, and our nervous system is responding and reacting to these things in one way or another. You know what I'm saying? Nervousness, anxiety, shakiness, releasing, sudden releasing, literally detoxifying, feeling like you need to purify yourself in one way or another. I need a detox. I need to do a cleanse. I need to get out of here. I need to do a spiritual cleanse. I need to clean up my house. I need to clean my clothes. You know what I'm saying? However that's playing out in your life is exactly what we're talking about here. So it's not just one thing that's happening simultaneously. It's all things happening now. And this is a very confirmed reaction or an explanation as to when these things are happening, how they're happening now, and the orchestration that leads to these things, of you building something deeper, something more important, something more significant, something more you're passionate about, because you're following that internal rhythm, that internal flow, and you're kind of like engaging in a way where you're allowing it to show you more, and you're allowing yourself to be fed somehow. I get a signal, is what Spirit is saying. You guys are getting the signals, in one way or another, because little light bulbs are turning off and turning off and turning on, turning off and turning on. Some of these are going to turn off and they're not going to turn back on, and they don't need to, is what Spirit is saying here. So, a lot of these ideas that you have kind of like let go or got stuck in the past are going to revisit you somehow in some way to give you a profound indication or even a confirmation of what we're talking about here as far as destiny, legacy, dreams, goals, ambitions, what you're really here to do, what you really want to do, what is soul driven. You know what I'm saying? What is more heart centered and soul driven. A lot of these things are coming up to the surface right now, fam. And it might feel like a stew pot or a boiling point is what Spirit just said. And then they're showing me the fire energy. They're also showing me Aries, but they're also showing me the stellium, and the amount of planets that are in Aries right now are heavily influencing our ability to make decisions, and our ability to see what the truth is, and our ability to see past any illusions, or our ability to engage in a delusion, right? because they're showing me that the delusional aspect, being Neptune, being a profound planet today for a lot of people, there might be some fucking daydreaming. Oh, what would this be like? What would that be like? If you're engaging in a future where you're not writing it down and you're trying to fucking build it and make it happen in a way that's actually practical, it's all gonna come crumbling down, is what Spirit is saying. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not on a strong foundation. It's not built on truth. Okay, and whatever is not built on truth has to fall. And you don't necessarily need proof in your life, even though I know people resonate heavily with this message. Look at everything happening outside. Look at the news. Look at the war. Look at this and that. That is the truth, literally revealing itself in front of each and every one of you right now about how this world is run and how we are manipulated to believe that it's run in a way that's actually conducive to human behaviors. You know what I'm saying? We're seeing a lot of shit right now, is another fucking word for it. You know what I'm saying? Look at that. That's the devil card. You can't make this shit up, fam. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people might be in anguish in one way or another. Their hearts go out to other people. That's also energy that is attached to another energy that is no longer. This is a split of timelines. This is a split of time definition. This is a time where there is no time. It's always now. And a lot of us are engaging in that perspective some way, somehow, not being able to see it completely or actually seeing it now. You know, you have a choice and you have a chance to take, you know, when it comes to this stuff and make a decision on whether you're going to continue to engage in the old and be stubborn about the old and sit there and fight with it, or embrace the new and learn how to adapt, learn how to persevere in a place where you have enough strength already and enough courage to take on whatever new is coming into your life. You know what I'm saying? Because this even might be something that you're familiar with and something that you've done before, but your new passionate perspective will allow you to have more control about the situation or how you feel about the situation when you stand in observance of the fact that, hey, this is coming around and I'm going to handle it completely differently because I know that the divine has presented it before me for a reason. The universe does, man. And we got to learn how to forgive that too, dude, because it's not out to get you. It's only showing you the things that are getting in your way for the things that you truly desire or you want in your life or that you were meant to do or meant to be, you know? And I think that's a humbling factor here for us, fam, you know? That we don't have to be so fucking hard on ourselves and we don't have to fucking shoot for the idea in the way that we shot before, but allow ourselves to be led into whatever idea, whatever it is that favors our curiosity and imagination, and allow ourselves to flow with that because now we're being pulled away, okay? We're being asked for more, but that requires duty and responsibility. It requires our attention and it requires our affection for the very fact that we are being taken away from something, that we are being brought to something, that we are being presented with something, that this is a very opportune moment to see how God works in your favor. If you believe that is what Spirit is saying, to see how the Creator's design and the architecture of the Creator's design and the universal construct that we're in is divine perfection, okay? We all go when we're meant to go and we all do what we need to do when we're meant to do it. You know what I'm saying? Our perception of late, never, and all these things don't exist there, you know? But here we take these minuscule things and we give them substance, and next thing you know, this substance becomes a hindrance. And here we are, getting rid of those hindrances, releasing those hindrances, no longer serving hindrances, distractions, but they're using the word hindrances because it is hindering your spiritual growth. It is hindering your growth in awareness. It is hindering your growth in clarity. It is hindering your growth in aligning yourself and actually being in the moment. You know what I'm saying? Taking care of yourself, paying attention to your body. What is your body telling you? Not paying attention to all the negativity and the chaos around you, but staying wholeheartedly centered and allowing yourself to be afraid, scared, anxious, all that things, knowing that it's not really you, but the environment is changing to show you something while you're in it. So that way you can do something about it, say thank you, let it be gone, come to terms with it. You know what I'm saying? But this is all divinely led. This is how perfection works, fam. And it's orchestrated, is what Spirit is saying. It's about vibrance. It's about vibration. It's about frequency. It's about alignment. These things happen in our lives when they're meant to happen. And it's kind of the universe's question of, are you ready for it or not? You know? So that's the beauty of discernment, but that deeper inner work is what helps us figure these things out without asking too many questions, thinking that something that we get on the shelf is going to help us somehow. You know what I'm saying? or listening to somebody and just sitting there and listening to all their fucking videos and not really paying attention to what they said, thinking that you're going to get and make it to the promised land somehow. No, everything has to be experienced, you know? And it takes me back to something I learned a little while ago that my wife taught me. It's like everybody says that they know, but they don't really know till they actually experience it for themselves. You know what I'm saying? Person, place, or thing. So we can assume that we know because deep down inside, the divine intelligence or whatever it is that the divine knowledge or knowledge that's in us tells us that, yeah, we know these things. But the second that we acknowledge the fact that we know it, you're on that ride, homie. You know? And we need to be a little bit more acceptable of that, bro. And less in denial is what I'm hearing here also with this message. You know, the forks in the road are ever bearing is what they say, you know, but ever bearing in a way where you have the ability to see that it's like, hey, dude, hold on a second. Every road that you've taken ends up in a dusty fucking trail to nowhere, right? But here we are offering you a new trail, you know, giving you everything that you need in the moment to take on this new path, this new alignment, this new passion, this new place, whatever it is that's changing around you that God is giving to you right now, and asking you what you're going to do with it. Now that you can see what is given to you, what has been presented, what it is that you embraced, what it is that you thought was real, what it is that you thought was going to happen, has all been changed now. Now, how are you going to adapt to that? Are you going to continue with the gratitude? Or are we going to go back to our spoiled survivalistic behavior? You know what I'm saying? Where we're entitled or complacent or jealous or envious or spiteful or just, oh, it never works out for me. And you know what I'm saying? I've done this forever. And all those things, do you want to continue to do those things in your life? And this is what the universe is literally representing to you right now. It's asking you if you want to continue to have this bag, all right, where humanity suffers, instead of learning a way that suffering is actually a teaching to take you to the higher consciousness, to the promised land, and to that more balanced, aligned life that you're supposed to live. Adversity is something we all face, fam. Let's not fucking play fake and pretend, all right? Because without adversity, there is no change, there is no challenge, right? There is no purpose, there's no power, there's no path, right? So let's not be delusional about the fact that we can imagine and we can make things up, but we are the ones who actually have to create them. It's not going to be done for us. We're the ones who have to literally walk through the door when we ask for that door to be opened. But we also have to know that we have to maintain our sight on the opportunities that we ask for to get us out or help us understand whatever person, place, or thing or situation that we're dealing with, right? This is how the universe works, okay? There is no cheating. There is no cutting it short. You know what I'm saying? This is all the rights of rite of passage, your righteous path, whichever way you want to call it, man. You know what I'm saying? Some of you are probably tired. Some of you are even exhausted. But there's a new energy providing the willingness, the drive, the ambition, the motivation, and what it takes to be in this new energy. And it's like having a second breath. You know what I'm saying? It's like that second wind that literally comes out of nowhere that continues to drive you all fucking day until you're satisfied with everything that you've done that day, and then you can sleep no problem. And you can be easily proud of yourself because you literally took the energy all day and you did something with it in a very productive way, something that you haven't done before, that shows you that the inner light is timeless, endless, and infinite. You know what I'm saying? And you can take and harness that energy that we're using right now to bring that clarity, to bring that fire to bring the purity, to detoxify ourselves and actually show us the way, you know, to where we want to be, which is more pleasurable, which is more aligned, which is more financially stable, which is more structured. You know what I'm saying? Where less people are interfering in our lives and we can live the way that we want to live because we are free beings, right? You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people can't, you know, when you look at it from this perspective, you realize that a lot of the shit that we used to focus on when in the past or are focusing on in the past don't allow us to see this perspective and actually move on in a more clear and conscious way and be more proud and courageous to embrace something that we've never done before or we haven't done it this way, you know, and actually do some fucking make a difference in our lives in a completely different way than what we've ever learned before because history teaches us that it was all bullshit anyway. Salah. Much love to each and every one of you, fam. I hope you enjoyed this collective message today. I am doing readings. If you would like a donation reading, we don't put a price on the reading. The link is in the bio. Just type done and how you donated. This is similar to our Soul Counsel messages that we deliver on our website for all you beautiful people. It is in-depth and really in tune, man. You know, so if you guys want to jump on board and get a reading, we're just doing it donation-based today, but we also have those one-on-one fucking sessions where you can get the brass tacks of what's going on with your questions, your curiosities, what your next step is, what your direction is meant to be. All those things get answered in Soul Counsel because it's divinely led. And depending on the counsel depending on your counsel, those are the messages that you require, that you may need, that you can ask in that space as well. So it's an interactive space. We don't just tell you the what, who's, and how's, and what's it's. You know what I'm saying? And the who's and whoville. We actually break down in a way that you have the ability to come up with utilize your own discernment and figure these things out for yourself and make decisions in a more conscious and constructive way, which is also what we're talking about here in the collective message, right? It's about that discipline and everybody getting in line with the discipline that it takes. Because when people think about discipline, it's like, get to work. No, it's kind of like that, but it isn't. You know what I'm saying? Because you're the one who's doing it to yourself, and you can do this in a positive way and an emphasis on that, or you could do this in a negative way where you're consistently bashing you and fucking trying to break the chain gang that everybody's tied to right now in this collective. So, again, I hope you guys enjoyed that message. Thank you, Spirit, for that beautiful message today.